You got a gun. You got a big gun. You got a gun. It's not a real one. And all you ever think about is running away. All you ever think about is trying to stay away. Stay away from me.
And welcome back to another episode of the Not Safe for Work MMA Show on the LoudMouth MMA Podcast Network. And look at the clock. We are ready to go. I'm your host, Kyle Steele, and joining me, per usual, is Mr. Frederick James Kirby III. Hello, Freddie.
Hey, now.
Got your full name in there, buddy.
Yeah, you even called me Freddie, which was fucking weird. But...
Oh, I called you Frederick.
Oh, I thought that was a Freddie.
No. I hit you with the Frederick. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, only the ladies were allowed to call me Freddie now. Get crazy with the Freddies. I'll take Frederick, though. You know, one time I had a fucking problem with a cop because I didn't know what, abbreviation of Fred worked for me. There's
actually a really funny joke with Nate Bargatze where he's talking about his license says Nathaniel, and he bought a ticket for the airline under Nathan.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh boy.
Yeah.
These don't match. And he's talking and he's having this big issue with the guy just not understanding that it's the same name, right? And he's like, this guy can't find out that everybody calls me Nate. Because he can't handle that.
Well, I had two problems. A, I was drunk.
Sure.
And B, I didn't remember my Social Security number.
Boy.
So they're like, is it Fred, Freddie, or Frederick?
You're like,
and I'm like, listen, officer,
no.
I'm trying to be brutally honest with you. I got no fucking idea. They usually call me Fred, but that's all I got for you, bro. I was like, get in the back of the car. It's like, fuck.
I can understand that, though. I mean, it's like if you don't strike me as you grew up looking at your birth certificate,
I listen, to this day, I don't know what's wrote on that cocksucker. I never figured it out.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like,
went and put me in the fucking cruiser. I had to wait it out.
And that's part of Nate Bargatze's joke. He's like, some people were raised where when they turn a certain age, their parents give them their Social Security card and birth certificate and all that. And he's like, I've never seen them.
Yeah, I'm in that group.
He's like, I thought that my existence was proof of my birth.
Yeah, for real. If something was to happen, I was to need that, I'd probably be fucked.
Right.
So I don't really know where's that.
Fred, one day you and I are going to take a trip. We need to have a camera crew with us.
It'll be fun.
And we're just going to go get you your Social Security card, birth certificate, and just get all that on lockdown.
Yeah, that'll be a great fucking show. Take us 6 hours and I'll fucking lose my shit.
And by the end of it ends with Fred being arrested.
Yeah. Don't fucking miss that one.
All right. So we just had a fight night. We also have a pretty big fight coming up next week. I mean, as far as it goes.
Lots of news in general overall.
But the Cormier Stipe trilogy.
Ooh, look at you!
Has a lot of intrigue.
Right.
How do you feel the intrigue compares to the John Jones trilogy? As far as it's going along, this one's happening a lot faster because people aren't getting suspended and shit in the process. This trilogy has been pretty quick, as far as it goes. Very
good question, man. Because I think they're different in a couple ways, okay, right? Stipe won one of the fights. John won both fights. So there's not a lot of intrigue in that, like, if John and DC fight for a third time, I think most of us assume that John's going to win again. Now, if it's a heavyweight, there's a little question. But nonetheless, going into this trilogy with Stipe fucking flat won that second fight. So there's a lot of intrigue there. That being said, I think the first fight with John Jones was the biggest fight of all of them.
Yeah.
Maybe the rematch, but that first fight with John, that was the first time in a long time that I kind of thought John Jones was going to lose. Matter of fact, dare I say, that was the last time going into a fight I kind of thought the other guy was going to win. The first time he fought DC. And then he came out and fucking did what he does, and the rest is fucking history. But that fight, for me, was fucking huge at the time. This fight will be big, but real truthful talk, this fight will not permeate the masses. This trilogy with Stipe, it'll be big in Cleveland. It'll be huge in the MMA community. We will make a big fuss about it, but, I guess now the MMA/the UFC is on ESPN, they'll give it a little bit of love. But this won't get treated like a big John Jones fight or like a Conor McGregor fight, or hell, to keep it a buck, this won't be treated like the Habib Gaethje fight. This won't be treated like a Habib fight. Kind of sucks, but I don't think it'll have that mainstream sort of appeal or intrigue.
Yeah. But for MMA fans, I mean,
Oh, it's huge.
I think this ranks
huge.
up there. I mean, this is. It's hard to say. I think now, given the situations we're in, I am far more excited about this third fight than I would be another fight with John Jones. That doesn't interest me nearly as much. At heavyweight, possibly.
Right.
But certainly a light heavyweight, this fight I way more want.
For sure.
This is much, and especially given, again, the first time he mopped the floor with Stipe.
Yeah.
Right? And the second one, he's beating the shit out of him the whole time. And then basically there's a 30-second flourish where he's just gassed out, gets hit with a couple body shots, finishes gassing him out, and then he gets taken out.
Yep.
You know, so there's a lot of intrigue because that's a relatively easy fix to make. It's going to be hard for Stipe to do anything different because the first time he got rolled over, and then the second time again,
he was
clearly he didn't make the changes he needed to make because he was getting rolled over. It just wasn't as bad. He didn't take as hard of a shot, and he was able to hang. I'm trying to think what do you do differently here, right?
Okay.
Going into the third fight, what is your for Stipe? It seems like the game plan is, hey, I gassed him out last time. So maybe this time I'll be a little bit more grapple heavy. Maybe I'll be a little bit more put that much more pressure, right, just to try to get this to go into deep waters. I don't know what the game plan is. What is it you do? Because again, for Cormier, it's easy, right? From the last fight to now, you got to keep working on cardio. You got to keep working on cardio. You got to take some body shots, cardio, body shots, cardio. You really got to toughen that area up. Other than that, you don't really got to change anything.
Well, see, and I almost disagree just in the fact that I think you just avoid the body shots. That's all you got to do is make sure you don't get clipped with one of them.
I'm saying for him to prepare,
one thing to focus on.
There's this clear path.
Sure.
Cormier doesn't really need to change anything other than he needs to keep working on that, right?
Not get hit in your fucking guts this time because you was controlling the fucking fight right until he lands that shot to the fucking liver.
You need to do drills where you're going punch, 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 and then someone's smacking you in the belly with a pad.
Yeah.
Punch, 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 hitting you with the pad, right? You just need to basically work on that and don't change anything else because the first time you rolled through him and the second time all those shots were landing. His weird little style was working. It worked both times.
Sure.
Right?
And here's the thing. If you think that fucking the very next day DC wasn't in that gym fucking throwing it and avoiding that body, but believe your sweet ass, DC's been working on fucking not getting clipped to that fight. He realizes, quite frankly, for all of me, DC should be very fucking lucky and happy and thankful that little scenario happened at the very end of his career.
Yeah, because
I think that might have been,
extended him out a little bit.
John Jones is the only fucking prick that's actually been able to hit him in the head and hurt him.
Yeah.
He has fought heavyweights most of his career, fucking Anthony Johnson twice. I mean, DC can take a punch. I mean, look at the way he's built, too. He's built like a bulldog. He looks like the type of guy you could hit with a fucking baseball bat in the head and he'd just eat it and fucking spit out splinters. But a lot like Matt Brown, a lot of guys that can take Nate Diaz, a lot of guys that can take them shots in the head, their body's weak. And quite frankly, everybody's body's weak, but I guess that's the money shot anyways. It's
nearly impossible to have everything.
Well, right. I
mean, it's like there's people.
Sure.
I don't even know if John Jones has everything.
No, not at all.
He's never really been tested, right? That's the issue.
Sure, for sure.
So it's like now. There's a reason for that because he is that good. I'm not taking away from him.
No doubt.
Like, he is that good, which is why he's never really been tested, right? But it's like nobody is that complete.
No,
There are weaknesses. It's just whether or not people can get a chance to exploit them or not.
Sure.
The better you are, the greater that divide where that person's going to be able to exploit whatever that issue is.
Right.
But everybody has those. Everyone has the Achilles heel. It's just whether or not you're in a position where the other person can exploit it.
Right. That's what makes the fight so interesting.
And that's why people get paid a lot of money to watch fight tape and analyze it and do all this, because they're trying to find them. Where is the Achilles heel? Okay, we found it. Now, how on earth do we then exploit it, right? And
right.
Entire camps are dedicated to trying to exploit this one thing, all the way from the undercard to the main event. That's what every single camp is doing.
Sure.
How do we exploit whatever this person's Achilles heel is, right?
Yeah.
And then some people are successful with it, others aren't, right? And and the better you are, the easier you can exploit other people's, and then the less people are able to exploit yours.
Relatively simple game plan in the grand scheme of things. Like,
Yes.
okay, well, what is this guy not good at? What are we good at? How do we make that work for us in a fight?
Going back to John Jones and Cormier, the kick he lands in the second fight, he predicted in a press conference, I think maybe after the first fight or like leading up to it or something.
He said something.
Yeah,
like
he said like,
he dips his head this way.
This is what he does,
and bigger than shit he did, and John lands.
Yeah,
the kick.
and I think Cormier was actually on the panel when that happened, and Jones was talking about, he has a weakness, and Cormier is like pressing him, like, what is it? Say it. What is it? And then John is like, I'll say it because I don't think you can fix it. And then he says what it is, and Cormier is like, yeah, sure. And then boom, they fight again, and he exploits it, right? So, yeah, that is what separates being really good from being just average, right?
Listen, one of these days we're going to have a serious conversation about how good for you street drugs actually are. Because when you think about it, the cocksuckers that have been great in their collective sports, a lot of them like to get fucked up. Michael Irvin, John Jones, fucking Arnold Palmer.
Listen, we're going to Darryl Strawberry.
Yeah, I mean, there's
what brings this up?
a lot of fucking.
Although Darryl Strawberry, that seemed to be the demise of his career.
Well, that's true. But real talk, though, maybe like, and I'm being slightly serious now. John Jones has been smoking weed for a long time.
Yeah,
maybe there's something cerebral. Like, do I think smoking a fucking blunt before you walk out of the cage is a good idea? Absolutely not. Watching
there does
fight
seem to be,
tape,
especially with guys in jiu-jitsu, there seems to be a connection with. Well, because here's what it is: these are automatic processes. The power of your brain is absolutely. We know less about our brain,
sure, than we do
the ocean.
Right.
And think about what we don't know about the ocean.
Right. A whole book of shit that we don't know what's going on at the bottom of the ocean.
We know less about our brains.
Oh yeah, I know. Somebody gets depressed and shit, and we're like, here, take this happy pill.
We don't,
or go jump off it. Like we have no fucking clue what causes depression
we don't
or anxiety.
know. We don't know how
shit.
this shit works, and just even beyond that, tapping into, that's what. There's a book for business-minded people. If you are a business-minded person listening to this, I will suggest a book to you. It's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He was a guy that followed around Andrew Carnegie. If you know Andrew Carnegie, he is the richest man to ever live, and it's not even close. I mean, he would have the equivalent of trillions of dollars if he were alive now. He was just... And not only was he the richest, he was absolutely ruthless. I mean, the guy, a mom-and-pop gas station would open up. So he would open up a gas station next door and give gas away for free until he ran them out. And once he ran them out, he would jack the price up on the gas station. I mean, that's like he was a ruthless
fucking businessman.
He would waste, again, the equivalent of billions of dollars just to fuck with people, just to fuck with them, right? And would piss away billions and then would eventually turn those losses into something. Just a ruthless guy. But in the book, Think and Grow Rich, the kind of prevailing theme is learning how to tap into your subconscious. And there's a lot of things, and whether you believe in this frou-frou shit or not, I'm telling you I'm evidence of it because this is my mindset. This is what I do, and I would be considered a rather successful person.
Sure.
And it's manifesting, and it's giving yourself affirmations. And what you're doing is you're tapping into your subconscious. Your subconscious is very, very powerful. If you tell your subconscious, I want to make $50,000 a year this year, right? Which is a perfectly fine amount of money. But if you tell your subconscious that, what you're going to do is you're going to make decisions to get 50 grand. That's what you're going to do, right?
Right.
If I tell myself I want to make $1 million this year, I'm subconsciously going to make decisions to make $1 million this year. There is no difference. Whether it's 50K or $1 million, there's no difference other than if I'm shooting low, I'm going to ignore opportunities to get more. Right. If I'm shooting high, I'm going to ignore opportunities that take me low. I'm going to, and it's as simple as that.
Right.
Just by simply, you're tapping into this subconscious thing where you're making decisions on this automated response. So to take it back into fighting.
Sure.
If you or take it back into the brain and all that kind of stuff, right?
John Jones and his fucking weed brain.
If what pot does for most people is that it opens you up a little bit, and you get out of your own head. You're operating, especially I think with like jiu-jitsu. You're operating without thinking. You already know. You know how to set up an armbar. You know how to set up a choke. You know how to do all these things when you're doing it on the mat or in an actual fight, right, in the cage.
Yeah.
I think what's stopping you is your own brain. Your brain you're overthinking shit.
Sure.
When you're high, you tend to not do that.
Well, right, absolutely.
Right? You're just in the moment, and your brain is just automatically doing this shit. So I agree with you. I do think there's a lot of truth to that.
There really might be a little something to that. And listen, I actually smoke pot, so
I don't, but
I can attest to this in this way. I'm not a fucking fighter, but like, there will be songs that I have listened to a million times, heard them over and over and over again. If I get really stoned in the morning and I'm really fucking stoned, sometimes I'll hear that song and I'll hear a line and I'll be like, motherfucker, he's been saying that this whole time for a year. And I'm like, oh, fuck. All of a sudden I have an epiphany of what the song actually means and what that line meant and what the chorus meant. And all of a sudden I'll be like, whoa, like, you're right. I think it slows things down for you so that you can see shit that you ordinarily wouldn't. And if you're a fighter, say you're John Jones and you're at the house and you're fighting, I don't know, Glover Teixeira, you can watch that same fight over and over again and just, you're not seeing it. Maybe you get fucking stoned and you're like, oh, wait a minute, look how he fucking drops that left hand. It's weird. It's like, sorry, I'm not trying to fight. This is the Not Safe for Work, so I'm not trying to advocate for pot usage if you're fucking under, 19, 21, whatever it is. No illegal usage here. But if you're in one of the states where it's legal, within reason, obviously not the day of or not where you're going to, test positive and not be able to fight. But if you're fucking studying fight film and you just can't get a beat on the guy, maybe get fucking stoned. Go to the nether regions a little bit. Maybe you'll fucking see something that you're not normally seeing, man. Really wakes up your third eye a little bit.
Well, and that's what, I mean, people do this with, psychedelics, and it's
on a more extreme level.
They talk about resetting your brain.
Sure.
And this stuff MDMA has been used for therapeutic use going back to the 50s.
I mean, yeah, and I don't know what cocaine could provide to this, to be fair, but listen.
Cocaine's a Schedule II drug, which means that the federal government is saying it has some type of therapeutic use.
I mean, all bullshit aside, we make jokes like, oh, John Jones was fucking doing coke on his way up to beating Gus and DC and all these people. Okay, well, it's funny on the surface level, but once you dig beyond that, how? Is it helping? Maybe it's just being in a great mood, being jovial. I mean, because if you're fucking doing coke, you're letting out endorphins and fucking letting out the fucking floodgates.
Think of it from this perspective, because everybody can relate to this concept. If you wake up and you're in a good mood,
sure.
Do good things generally happen to you, or bad things generally happen to you?
That's kind of you're
right.
You're picking up
and
what
then
I'm putting
flip
down.
it. If you wake up in a bad mood, what usually happens?
It's bad shit.
It's just like,
but
it's your subconscious is attracting the shit to. We are the stories we tell ourselves. So if you wake up and you're telling yourself a good story, you're going to see the world through that lens.
Right.
The guy who cuts you off in traffic isn't going to fucking permeate into your brain the same way if you're telling yourself a bad story.
Right.
And then when that same guy cuts you off in traffic, because of the story you told yourself and because you told yourself you're in a shitty mood, that's going to piss you off.
And if you wake up and you're in a bad mood and you do a big fucking rail and smoke a blunt on the way into practice, guess who's not in a bad mood no more, boys?
Here we go, baby.
You get to practice like, let's fucking get to it. I'm fucking pumped.
So
happy?
Yeah, this is that. Now we're talking about self-medicating mental health problems, but here we go.
There we go. Look, if John Jones is the example, we all should fucking wish. Where the fuck are we at? We talking about we were DC Stipe. DC Stipe.
Another all over the place.
Another thing that's important about that fight, though, just to put a cap on the whole DC Stipe trilogy, it's probably going to crown
like DC Stipe.
I know, fucking.
It is. I do that too.
It probably gives us the greatest heavyweight MMA fighter of all time.
Yeah, I think whoever wins that, I think, really locks that down.
Yeah, like you can talk about Kane, you can talk about Fedor. I love the Fedor one for all you goofy hipsters out there, but the truth is, pound for pound, if Fedor was competing, even in his fucking prime, I don't think he does nothing with DC. Don't think he can knock DC out. He sure as fuck ain't armbar in DC. Prime for prime. But I guess I'm showing my cards here, too. I feel like DC's going to beat Stipe. But yeah. And it's ironic, isn't it?
Same.
How ironic will that be? And we're just on a fucking tangent here.
I love it.
But
I'm all about this is what the whole point of the show is.
How ironic would it be if DC, let's say DC does come out and do what most of us assume he will do, fucking beat Stipe, become, arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time. and then the light heavyweight has 2 wins over our GOAT heavyweight. Is that not fucked? Yeah. Wouldn't that be like fucking Ali getting snuffed out twice by fucking Marvin Hagler or the like? I know. Settle down, you boxing pricks. I'm exaggerating. I know it's like 5 weight classes, but it's like, it's a little strange, right? And if John Jones never comes to heavyweight, we're always going to kind of have that weird, like, okay, so this guy was the baddest man on the planet. You can't go to a division any higher. He beat all the biggest guys in the world. But then yet this skinny little prick fucking mopped him up twice.
Well, the weight classes are so... You know what fight I just watched the other day was Machida Pin. I just watched that the other day.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Well, it's not the greatest of fight, but if you're a BJ fan, I was like, fuck yeah, BJ, give him hell.
It's like, how the fuck is he... Like, you're watching that fight going, like, just knowing what you know, right? And how... You know, now Penn is able to fight at 45.
Right.
As you get older, you're supposed to be going up and not down. So, you know, he's fighting at 45, which means he was always small.
That was the Wild Wild West, too.
But it's like, how the fuck is Penn in there with Machida? Like, what?
Tell you what,
and not getting knocked out. And not just not getting knocked out. He loses the fight. Spoiler alert. But, like...
Does okay.
He doesn't lose it drastically. Yeah. You know? I mean, he's in there the whole time. And Machida looks done at the end of that fight. When his hand's raised... The ref is raising the hand for him. Like, he's not, like, emphatically putting that arm up.
Honestly, I've said this before.
Weight classes are weird, man.
I've said this before a million times, and I'll say it again. BJ Penn, I don't really have favorite fighters no more. I like Conor a lot. I like to see him win because it comes with such drama in the sport. But the truth is, I haven't had an actual favorite fighter since BJ Penn. He's the only guy that I've been like, that's my guy. And I tell you why, dude. It's because of shit like that Machida fight. If you're new to the sport, and your only knowledge of BJ Penn is getting snuffed out by fucking Dennis Seaver or getting submitted by Ryan Hall, please, all bullshit aside, I encourage you to go back and do the history of BJ Penn. This fucking guy, dude got his black belt in 4 years. So for anybody out there doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, suck on that. Now here's the thing, too.
Well, he didn't just get his black belt.
Right.
He got his black belt under,
Yeah, he got his black belt under fucking, I think it was Henzo, if I'm not mistaken. It was a Gracie, and I'm pretty sure it was Henzo Gracie.
They don't just hand out black belts just because.
No, they don't give them out, period. And in 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, to this day, it's the quickest that anybody's ever got a fucking Gracie black belt. Now, I could be wrong about that, but it's definitely, you know, it's unheard of to get a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in 4 years, period. To get one from the Gracies is fucking insane. But then BJ just did a bunch of shit like that. He was dominating, and if I'm not mistaken, he left the UFC to go fight Machida because he was so wild at that time that way back then, everybody was like, oh my God, there's this new guy in Japan, Lyoto Machida. He's the big, and BJ went, man, fuck Lyoto Machida, Jack. I want that fight. I'm going to fight him. And he did the same thing when he went, and I might be mistaken these two. Maybe he didn't leave the UFC to go fight Machida, but he did leave the UFC to go fight Takanori Gomi. Way back in the day when Takanori Gomi was kind of a pride guy. It was a big deal. They fought in Hawaii. Like, they had to pull some bullshit off, so they went to fucking BJ's hometown, Hawaii, and he ends up submitting Takanori Gomi when that was a big fucking deal. And then he comes back to the UFC, beats Sean Shirk. I mean, he has had an amazing career. And with, all the shit that we admire Conor for now, Baby J did a long time ago. Like, Baby J
he did it more so.
I mean, he took that fight with Matt Hughes. He took that fight with fucking George St. Pierre at 70. And really, real talk, didn't have no business in him. And to your point, did really well. I still think he won the first George St. Pierre fight.
He certainly beat Hughes the first time.
And he definitely beat Hughes twice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true.
That was his last credible win, probably like 9 years ago when he beat Hughes for the second time. But anyways, real talk. BJ's end of his career getting knocked out by that fucking fat shitbird in the parking lot. It's been fucking really embarrassing. It's so embarrassing because the beginning of his career was really, really fucking impressive.
Let's talk a little bit about the card we just had. I will say a podcast, a guy that one of my, I believe, would have been in my first 5 interviews for sure, was Peter Barrett. And I think back then he was like 6-0, 5-0, fighting on Access TV in the CES, right? And I had him on 2 or 3 more times. And then our very own Keith Schillen had him on the MMA Takeover right before this fight. So he's a guy that's been connected to our podcast for a while. If you've never heard his interviews or seen him, he's a phenomenal guy. He finally made his UFC debut. He got a win on the Contender Series, a good win, and then got accepted into the UFC, and he just had his debut. He lost, the issue with a guy like Peter Barrett is that he's going to struggle in. I'm like trying to say this delicately because I love the guy.
Right, sure.
I don't foresee him having a very long UFC career.
Okay.
I have a feeling he loses his next fight and he's back to CES.
Right.
Or back to wherever he's going to go to. But he's just when you get some of these prospects over, we talked about this last time we had a show, not last week, but the last time we had a show 2 weeks ago. We talked about how all these other division or all these other promotions are basically just the minor leagues, right? And that's kind of how you have to. There's one promotion, which is UFC, which is kind of how you have to look at it, and everything else is basically the minor leagues. Now, there's weird things with Bellator and and that kind of shit, but
Bellator has some standouts.
For the most part, right? You have to kind of view all these things as being minor leagues, and you go to the UFC, and then we see what you're made of. And once you can be a standout in the minor leagues for the Louisville Chicken Heads, right?
Oh, well, sure.
But then once you go to the UFC, once you go to the MLB, all of a sudden you're batting in the bottom and you're whatever, right?
It's like that across the board, too. Same thing with the NFL. You might have been really good in college, and you get to the NFL, and you're with the fucking big dogs.
Listen, how many first-round draft picks have flamed out?
Right.
It happens a lot.
Exactly.
Guys who are highly, highly touted coming out of college, but once you put them up against where everybody else is on the same skill level as them or better,
right?
They can't hang. And it is what it is. And you see it all the time. And unfortunately, I think we're seeing that with Peter Barrett. He's also a very cerebral guy. If you listen to him talk, he's very cerebral. He probably does psychedelics, is my guess. Very cerebral dude. So we'll see. Someone like that, when they lose on the biggest stage, it can completely change their career trajectory. So we'll see. I mean, look at a guy like Josh Emmett, who just completely had his career 180'd. He just all of a sudden something clicked. He goes down in weight, and just the dude's been fire ever since.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
So who knows? A guy he might have an
epiphany of some sort.
Yeah, and just everything clicks into place. We shall see. But I did want to give a shout out to Peter. Such a good dude. I wish him all the best, and hopefully he gets it. Gavin Tucker got back of the win column. Yep. I was such a big fan of Gavin Tucker going into that. Was it Rick Lynn?
Yeah.
He just got embarrassed. I think he won. He won a fight after that. I'm pretty sure he did. He won a fight after that. Also a submission rear naked choke. Also in the third round.
Yeah.
He's a fun dude, man. If you go back prior to that Rick Lynn fight, since he's been in the UFC, he had the one fight against Sam Sicilia, and it was just a banger. I mean, it was a decision, but it was an absolute banger, and it was fantastic. Then he goes up against Rick Glenn and gets embarrassed. And a fight that really should have been stopped, if I remember correctly, a few times.
Yeah, it was brutal.
But then he's back on a 2-fight win streak. Again, both of them submissions.
It's his only loss, too. I mean,
It's his only loss ever.
Pretty rough in it, but yeah.
He's a really, really fun guy. So it's nice to see. It's like, all right, cool.
No doubt.
Like, he's back. When he beat Sam Sicilia, I think I was in that camp that was like, even though it's one fight, you're like, ooh, this is the dude.
Yeah.
And it's Sam Sicilia of all people, and it's like, I don't know how fucking big that win is, but
right.
it just felt like, all right, this guy has it.
Yeah, some wins are
He has the charisma. He's fun to watch. He's got this cool style.
Some wins are a lot different in hindsight, too.
Well, and again, like
Sam Sicilia was all right at the time.
There's a lot to be said about charisma, man. And when you're in the fight game,
sure,
being a good fighter is not enough. When you're in the UFC, being a good fighter just isn't enough. There are tons of good fighters who you don't know their names.
Well, sure.
Because they don't have whatever that is.
Speaking of charisma, quickly, Izzy's pink hair, yay or nay from you?
I love it.
I fucking love it.
Dude, I'm all about it. People are so weird, man.
I know.
There's so much homophobia. Like, when that on Twitter, that's the last time I was on Twitter. Because I don't really go on Twitter anymore. But the last time I was on Twitter was right after all that came out. And it's just so funny to see, like, all the homophobia and whatever else. It's like, what?
It's so stupid.
Why do you care?
Well, yeah, for beyond anything, who gives a shit?
Yeah, it's like, why is that a thing?
But also beyond that, do you know who that is? I don't give a shit if he put a fucking picture of a pussy on his hair. He'll beat the ever-living dog shit out. I dare you. I double, triple doggy dare you. Go tell him that to his face that his pink hair looks fine. I love it because And look at Paulo Costa, right? Looks like he was carved from fucking stone. Can you imagine a guy with pink hair beating the shit out of that guy? Quite frankly, that alone, kind of almost in a weird way, epitomizes MMA.
Well, especially given some of the remarks that he had made, that Paulo Costa had made, that were really derogatory.
A little homophobic, yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, I think he's doing this on purpose.
Yeah, I do too. That's what makes fucking Izzy brilliant. It's kind of like, make your homophobic remarks, now get beat up with a dude with pink hair.
Exactly.
Like, and what can you do about it?
Yeah, I love it. I'm all about it. There's other fights to talk about. Again, this is not a breakdown podcast.
Yeah.
That'll be the Shillen and Duffy show, which will probably drop sometime after this one, possibly before this is up. I don't know, but it'll drop around when this drops.
Good wins though, so make sure you tune into that.
Yeah, for sure.
Fun fights to talk about.
Please tune in. And all the shows. We got Shooting the Shit. We got the breakdown. We got an actual breakdown podcast that's now a 3-man booth. Marcel Dorff is still on that one. And then, right now it's Shillen and Duffy show, which is Ben Duffy and Keith Shillen. And then Keith also hosts another podcast on the network called the MMA Takeover that he does weekly as well. So check out the rest of the shows in the network, not just this one. They are fantastic. I'm really happy with where we are right now. I want to get another show, probably get some more people over here, but I like keeping it more condensed. Yeah. I think we were getting a little buck wild there for a minute, just doing a whole bunch of shows. It was hard to keep up. Too much content. I want to focus on good content and really honing that in. So, but I do want to talk about Derek Lewis, Alexei Olenek. That was the main event on this one.
Sure.
Then we'll go through next week's card a little bit more, talk about some other fights that are on there, maybe take a look ahead on some other stuff. We got to get some news too.
Quickly too, also, I just want to throw this out there. You didn't see the fight, but before we get done with this card and Olenek, I want to talk about Weidman. Weidman was in the co-main event.
It's weird, man. I missed. That was the only fight I missed, like the whole night. I missed the co-main because we had people over and we were just doing shit. I don't even know what even happened.
So you missed it. You understand the relevance, obviously. You understand where Chris Weidman's coming in.
And I also saw that Weidman said that after the fight, that was a restart for his career.
Okay, let me paint the fucking picture here.
Give it to me.
Long fucking story short, without me being too much of a fucking cunt, he barely fucking won, and he laid and prayed in the third round. He fucking won the first round, lost the second round for all of me. Maybe I'm fucking mixing up. Maybe he lost the first one. It was 1-1 going into the third. He got a fucking takedown in the third, and he pretty much laid and prayed the whole rest of the fucking round. Now, we all know how desperate fucking Chris was for a win coming into this fight. I wonder, though, did this win really help at all? If he had came out and smashed that little Russian prick, then that would have been what we needed. I'll tell you right now, for me, what happened last night is not what I needed from Chris Weidman. Like, it does not give me hope that he's going to have any snowball's chance in hell against any of the guys in the top fucking, dare I say, fucking 10, son.
Especially if you were looking at, I don't remember what the odds, like what this finished up on the odds, but I know pretty much everybody was going, yeah, this is Weidman's fight. I mean, there's no reason for him to lose this.
Sure.
This is, even given where we know Weidman's at, everyone's going, yeah, this is his fight. Like, he should not lose this fight.
They gave him this fight to come back and look good in.
So, unanimous won round 1, unanimous lost round 2.
Okay, that's what it was.
And then in round 3, 2 judges had it as a 10-8, one had a 10-9.
Yeah, but again, he laid and prayed. He didn't really go for a submission. I hate when fighters do this, and I'm sorry, I hate to be such a fucking keyboard warrior, but like, I hate when fucking guys hold position and then they hear that fucking the old click clacker. And then they fucking, well, here comes the elbows. I'm going to get you now, but here comes. He fucking starts throwing some heat in the last fucking 7 seconds of the fight.
It's better than Betch Kohea.
Yeah, for fuck's sake.
When that thing goes off, she's like, all right, I'm done.
That's true. I don't think Betch is a little slow. I don't think she gets the point of what that means. It doesn't mean walk home, darling. It means fucking, start swinging relentlessly.
Right.
But that was what he did the third round. He got a takedown. He fucking held it, played it as safe as he possibly could. Fucking chest to chest. I think he got the mount with maybe a minute or two left in the fucking third round. And I was thinking, okay, here we go. He's got full mount. Let's go, Chris. And instead of fucking leaning up, which he could have got bucked off or whatever, but instead of leaning up and letting down some fucking fury, he kept him nice and tight, chest to chest. There was nothing the little Wolverine prick could possibly do. And then the last 10 seconds, he decides to lean up a little bit and throw a couple elbows. I mean, quite frankly, it was, it was definitely not what you really wanted. If you're a real Chris Weidman fan, and you're like, okay, are we back or what are we gonna do? there ain't no goddamn way that performance has you that happy. I mean, yeah, you're stoked he won. I mean, shout out to his old man. I mean, everybody's stoked that he actually got a W, but, bro, he looked fucking lackluster as fuck in getting it, just to be fucking honest.
Yeah. Nope, I'm with you.
So, at this point, with that being said, quickly, before we get to the Olenek, Derek Lewis thing, what do you think should go on with Weidman at this point?
Boy. Again, I didn't watch the fight, but just looking at the cards, he won the fight and he won the last round resoundingly. But it also
very boring.
But it also doesn't sound like what we would expect from Chris Weidman.
No, it was very boring. It was a very let me get this win. Oh my God, I'm desperate. Please don't do nothing wrong.
And Weidman hasn't been Weidman in quite some time.
And quite frankly, he was getting outboxed. In that second round, he lost the round because the fucking little Wolverine prick was kind of thunderstriking him. I mean, he also kind of out-wrestled him low-key too, but so he did not look very good in the win.
Now, that's not to say that just wasn't the best matchup in the world and put him up against somebody that's a different matchup, right? And he snuffs him. I don't fucking know.
Maybe.
But, he's clearly not someone that's even in the conversation anymore, even with the win. I don't know what to do with him. You just have him. You keep having him fight on, maybe he's still a main card guy, but that's about it. He's a main card guy that doesn't need to be fighting anybody that's worth a whole lot. If you got someone that's on a win streak, throw up against Weidman, see what they do. Well, the narrative is now about who's fighting Weidman and not who Weidman is fighting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit.
The narrative is about who's the guy that's fighting Weidman. That's where the narrative is. It's not, Weidman's fighting this guy.
2 fights. Well, okay, so 1 fight and then one idea of a fight for Weidman, for all of me. If you're in the camp that you think, hey, he had a rough performance, but he's back, Jack. He can fucking do this. He can handle it. He wants a title shot. Okay, fair enough. Fucking, Yoel. Something. Give him what he's looking for.
Give him the rematch.
Well, give him a top guy. Give him a top 5, 6, 7 guy. Give him a guy that we're all going to go, oh, my God, that dude's going to fucking kill Chris Weidman. And listen, he either fucking sinks or swims. He either goes out there and proves that he does belong, or he gets the fuck beat out of him, and it is what it fucking is. You know what I'm saying? If we actually think he can hang, he ain't getting no younger. Might as well give him a beast next, and let's just see. Give him Robert Whittaker. Give him, who the fuck did Robert Whittaker just beat? Darren Till. There you go. Darren Till. Give him fucking Darren Till. I assume Darren Till beat the fuck out of Chris Weidman. But if Chris Weidman wants to stick around, you better beat Darren Till and you better finish him. Or, what do you think about this? I was thinking about this the other day, or right after that fucking bullshit win last night. What about a trilogy with Anderson Silva? Does that fucking sound interesting to you at this point in the game?
What is Silva even doing?
Who the fuck knows? He's down in Brazil and getting his fucking nuts tugged. But, listen. The 2 wins that Chris got against him were kind of horseshit. The first one was complete. Well, they were fucking both. I'm not the biggest fan, but bullshit. One time he fucking shatters his leg, which is fucked. And the first time, I mean, he was clearly fucking dancing around, acting goofy and shit, sloppy.
Yeah, but that's his style, and he just got caught.
Man, none the fucking less. I would be interested in the third fight because I would like to see him. You know what? I don't want to get in an argument, but that's not really his style either. It kind of is, but if you go back and watch Anderson Silva fights, you know who fucking it wasn't his style in that fight? Vitor Belfort. You know who his style? You know who he didn't do that shit with? Dan Henderson. When Anderson had a fight that he was fucking nervous in, he might have got a little cute. But that fucking bullshit doing the drunken hippie dance, there was no such thing in the Henderson fight. There was no such thing in the Vitor fight. He was fucking cued in, and that's why he put in some of his best performances. It's that John Jones effect. When they're fighting somebody that makes them nervous, they fucking fight good. And you're fighting fucking the all-American shitbird Chris Weidman. He's like, well, fuck, I'll fucking beat this guy if I'm fucking drunk on tequila. Backfired on him twice, but...
Right. And I think that's true for a lot of... again, that's what separates really good people from your average, right? People that when the pressure's on, they step up. There are tons of people in this world, not just in fighting, but in the business, professional world, whatever it is, that fold under pressure. You ever hear people say they're bad test takers?
Oh, yeah.
You mean you fold under pressure. That's it. That's literally all that it is, right? There are people who are not smarter than you who are going to do better on that test. They're not smarter than you, but they're going to do better on the test because they don't fold under pressure. The bad test takers, it's just another way of saying I fold under pressure. It's literally just that. And which is fine. I'm not like judging you, but I'm just saying like what is the when we're trying to figure out like what separates the really fucking talented, good, successful people in this world from others, that's one of them. The people who, when the pressure's on, they are there. They are there and they get it done.
That's difficult.
And when the pressure's low, they tend to fuck up.
Sure.
You know? And I think Jones is an example. And he hasn't fucked up, obviously, as bad as Anderson has in those.
Sure.
But
it's a matter of inches. I mean, I think we all feel like in that Dominic Reyes fight and that Thiago Santos fight, like
even going back to the first Cormier fight and going back to the Gustafsson fight, right?
Yeah, John Jones. You could almost call the luckiest fighter in MMA too, because you're right. Like
all you had to do is have one of those not go his way.
Yeah, right.
How many bad decisions can we think of in our head? What's his nuts? Jorge Masvidal, right?
Yeah.
He's been on the other side of a couple of those.
Yeah, right.
Where his record would look real different.
Oh, yeah.
Had some of those just gone his way instead of the other. Right?
Honestly,
there's tons of those guys.
Bro, you could really, real talk, you could pretty much chalk Jorge Masvidal's whole career up to one flying knee. I mean, he got the win over Till before that, and that was good, but it was, if you remember correctly in that fight, he got knocked down in the first round. He won. He won with a knockout, but it was a close fight up to the point where fucking Jorge lands that shot.
Yeah.
But then he just lands that flying knee on the perfect hill at the perfect time. And he did beat the fuck out of Nate Diaz afterwards, which that didn't hurt.
Then he got smart, and that's what it is. He got smart.
But that fucking it's weird in the fight game, boy. You really are just one crazy performance away from everything changing for you. Now, to be fair, he did check a lot of the other boxes. Good looking dude, swag, fucking Cuban, long haired, fucking heathen, been fighting in backyards. I mean, he had a hell of a story to sell too. But the truth is, he's had that story the whole time he's been a fighter, and most of us have known that story. But something about that flying knee, man, it was just so viral that it just fucking changed everything for Jorge.
Yeah.
And listen, also, to be fair, be careful what you wish for. Cute cocksucker finally got his title shot, and look what old Usman did to him.
Well, yeah.
Oh, speaking of fucking Usman, I was going to say, there's levels to this, baby. Did we see that fucking Corey Anderson fucked off for no reason to Bellator?
How strange.
I know. He didn't even need to. He was basically just like, fuck you.
He asked for his release. The UFC's like, sure.
I mean,
what does that say about you as a fighter if the UFC is willing to let you go even though you're still in the top? He wasn't like top.
There are some guys too, man, that, and Corey Anderson's actually had a couple performances in the UFC that were exciting. He's not like the most boring fighter in the world, but for some reason, man, certain guys and girls just don't ever really resonate with the fans.
Yeah.
Corey was one of those dudes, man. I bet he's a great guy. I'm sure he's a nice guy, good father, the whole most of it. But I don't know. Listen, what's Corey Anderson most famous for? There's levels to this, baby. That's his line. That's what he's known for fuck's sakes, and the whole organization.
He just got a big win.
I think so, if I'm not mistaken.
Really recently, it was against the fucking.
It was against. Yeah, I think
he just got a really big win.
Yeah.
What the fuck was it?
I always fuck with him with the big nips, but he always wins.
It just happened. It was like last week. Who the fuck was it? Why is this escaping me? I hate this when this happens. When you're like, dude, it was a big fucking win.
Yeah, I know.
A big prospect. What the fuck?
Oh fuck! It's on the tip of my tongue too.
I know. Hang with me, podcast people. No, I'm thinking something different. I'm being racist. He just got a big win over Jan Blachowicz, which that was the guy that
a big fight over Jan Blachowicz that he lost to. Who did he beat up? Johnny Walker.
Oh, he lost to.
Johnny Walker. That was
Johnny Walker was the big one.
Yeah, and that was after he was talking about levels. You might be confusing him with fucking Curtis Blades. And yeah, not to be fucking racist.
I'm not thinking Curtis Blades.
Listen, I do, and it's because they both got big nips. It's got nothing to do with them being black. They both got big nips, and they kind of have similar fighting styles. Corey Anderson and Curtis Blades I've confused those two pricks.
I love the narratives on this stupid podcast. Who am I thinking of, dude? This is bothering me.
The Johnny Walker fight was big at the time. Maybe just the Jan Blachowicz fight, maybe you were just thinking before that. Because going into the Johnny Walker fight, it was
I'm thinking of Derek Brunson. I'm straight up being. I told you I'm being racist.
Yeah, listen, you're fucked. At least mine's kind of close. At least they were big and both kind of tall and dark. Fucking similar. Derek Brunson has fucking hair dyed blonde and looked like Sisqo the last time he fought. For fuck's sakes.
Oh my gosh! Do you remember that? Do you remember Sisqo? Do you remember Sisqo had that like? So he comes out with Thong Song, right?
Oh yeah.
And on the same album, he has a fucking banging power ballad.
I don't remember that.
It was. Oh my god! I'll have to pull it up. He has a banging power ballad.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Like Brian McKnight, Boys to Men level power ballad.
He can sing.
That's on that same album, and it was just so funny because it's like when you think of Sisqo, you think of Thong Song.
Oh yeah, listen.
And it's like, dude, he has a power ballad.
Listen, fucking Thong Song got my panty fetish going.
Listen.
Tell you something right now. Fucking Thong Song permeated my whole fucking being, Jack.
What Fred is saying is Fred would not be Fred without the Thong Song.
Yeah, that's right. Thong Song got the whole fucking panty fetish going, Jack.
Oh my gosh,
nothing better.
Incomplete was the name of the song. I'm gonna play it. Listen to this. It's up, dude. This is
air. Keith is fucking pissed right now.
I know he is.
What the fuck is this?
Listen, when he comes in, imagine Brian McKnight is singing this song.
Hey,
dude, it's a power ballad. And by the way, on the album, that is the song directly after Thong Song.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Directly after on the album.
Power ballad isn't exactly the word. That's a pussy getting song. You fucking kick that one on. The fucking panties don't come off. It's because you're doing something wrong, Jack.
No, and then in the chorus, he goes up and he does the whole like where he changes octaves and he goes the real high pitch and then holds it for 20 seconds.
All bullshit aside, Sisqo can sing. Drew Hill was a fucking dope little group.
Anyway.
It's like the fucking black Justin Timberlake.
Moving on. We should tell people before we started the podcast, we were listening to Afro Man.
Yeah, that was real fun.
We're lucky we haven't played Afro Man this entire time because I really wanted to.
We still got about 10-15 minutes of it. See how this fucking goes.
There's still time to fuck this up. Let's get to Derek Lewis, Alexi Olnick.
There we go. Okay.
He also said Derek Lewis at his post fight. He goes. He asked him if he was in trouble, or I don't remember what Paul Federer said. I can't stand Paul Federer's post fight interviews. I can't do it. They're so robotic. And his like face doesn't move. There's no charisma with it. I can't do it. I don't like it, man.
Yeah, I don't mind
give me
calling
Joe.
Fights, but
just give me Joe all
the
day.
Post fight's a little weird.
But he's asking questions. I don't remember how he got to it, but Derek Lewis is like, yeah, he got me in that. What's that called? The English Bulldog choke. He just got me in that a while. It's just funny, man. I love Derek Lewis.
You know what though?
His post fight wasn't. I was hoping for more. It was pretty funny. He starts off the post fight with right when they come on air, he kind of pretends like he doesn't know that he's on air yet, and he's talking to somebody off camera, and he says something like, I got to take a shit. And then Paul Felder's like, well, before you do that, we have some questions for you. And then you had the line about the English Bulldog choke and whatever. He had some funny stuff. But afterward, we had a new fan here last night. So I was like, you got to see. Like, that was funny, but, like, you got to watch Derek Lewis. Yeah, Derek Lewis's best moments.
Oh, God.
So I pulled up a compilation of all of Derek Lewis's post-fight interviews. Bro, it's even funnier than I remember.
Yeah,
like,
it don't hit the same when everything's virtual.
When some of the stuff I hadn't seen, because some of it was like where he's
interviews or some shit.
Where he's on Bisping's, like he's on like some show on Fox, and it's Bisping and somebody else, and they're like, if you weren't a fighter, what would you be doing? And he's like, well, I'd probably be a porn star. And he starts going through this whole reason why he'd be a porn star. And so some of that stuff I had never seen before.
He's hilarious.
Or some of the like press conference stuff that I missed, where he's talking. They're like, what's next for you? He's like, well, I'm going to go home and throw my old lady's legs up in the air and see where it goes. Yeah. Derek Lewis is hilarious, man. And
God bless her.
And it works. It works.
Oh, yeah.
There's also a funny thing where he's on Skype for something and his wife's standing behind him. And he just he looks back at her, then looks forward and goes, where Ronda Rousey at? And then she slaps him in the face at him.
I'll be honest. Now, I realize that obviously 99.9% of any fighter in the UFC would beat the fuck out of me, even the flyweight girls. Now,
who's the .01? CM Punk?
Yeah. CM Punk's up there. That fucking one prick that was a writer or whatever, Mike
Jackson?
He can get it. There might be a couple.
He can get it.
There might be a couple girls at 115. If I fucking clip them early, I can have a shot. But I always think, if I worked out If I had like a year to get myself in shape,
Sure.
and I land a lucky punch or a lucky kick, anybody can get lucky. It's like, look at fucking Kamaru Usman or Conor McGregor. Like, of course, Conor is going to fucking thunderstrike me. But, if I shut my eyes and I throw the Hail Mary and I happen to land on the jaw, I can probably fucking sleep. He's not that fucking big. Derek Lewis is the type of gentleman that never even enters my mind.
Right.
Like, I could sneak up behind him with a board and I'd be afraid to hit him. Because I'm not going to knock him out when he turns around. I'm fucked. He's just too much of a bear of a man to deal with. Like,
there's a quote from Usual Suspects, and it could have been a quote from something else, but I remember it from Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
So it could have been they took it from something else. But it said, like, it was like something like, how do you shoot the devil in the back? What if you miss?
Yeah. It's something like that.
It's like he. What if you crack a board over that dude's head and it does nothing?
Yeah, like real talk.
Now you're completely fucked.
Yeah, like most fighters don't really scare me, even though I know they beat my ass. Derek Lewis makes me nervous, probably because he's so fucking big and just so strong. We were talking right before we fucking went live. The way he threw Olenek in that first round, he just fucking kind of grabbed him and slung him on the ground.
Yeah.
Bro, Olenek's like fucking 7 feet tall or some shit. A massive fucking Pollock or whatever the fuck kind of weird fucking European.
Well, and you realize when you see
big man.
There are a lot of times when you see things happen in the cage, right? And you go, that wasn't skill.
Well, right,
that was just brute strength.
Well,
You know what
right,
I mean?
right.
That wasn't like, there was no setup.
Right.
That wasn't a judo throw. That was
Exactly.
just fucking brute. You're a fucking mammoth of a human, and you just manhandled the dude. Like, that was it.
Literally. Like, again, we were talking about this before we went live, but, I love mixed martial arts and the beauty of judo and jiu-jitsu and the idea that the little guy can win a fight. But I'm going to tell you something, Jack. That shit hits a wall with certain human beings. When you're Derek Lewis, you can throw all that fucking judo shit out the door. That big dude grabs a hold of you. What you need to learn how to do is fall. Because you're not about to reverse his kinetic energy on fuck off.
You got to learn how to fall correctly.
Derek Lewis grabs me, I'm going where he wants me to go. I mean, that's the fucking bottom. That's the long and short of it. And I'm not a particularly small man. I'm fucking solid 6 foot, about 210. But he's so big and so strong. And more importantly, just so strong. He's not really all that big. Was he like 6'4" or 3?
Yeah, I mean, he's a big dude, but he's
just a big, fucking goddamn black beast, and he fucking exemplifies it. Look at that fucking finish. He came flying through the fucking air like a goddamn wild bear, lands a knee in the tit, then lands a fucking right hand, drops him, and fucking pummels the fuck out of him for about 12 seconds.
They kept talking about on the broadcast, like, what a good setup that was. And I'm watching that going,
it was horrible.
That wasn't a setup.
He
jumped up and he fucking kneed him. And then Olenek threw kind of a wild punch, and he just threw another one at the same time. You know what I mean? It was like,
to be fair,
it wasn't a setup.
I don't think so.
He just landed it.
To be fair, though, in his defense, do I think it was do I think Derek Lewis came out and thought, I'm going to throw his flying knee, then I'm going to throw a right hand?
He's going to punch back, and I'm going to right hand over top.
No, I think obviously he meant to throw the flying knee, but I think he thought, here comes the freight train, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's coming with a flying knee, but after that, both these big ham hawks are coming at you, and let's see what fucking happens. And in a weird way, it's him getting in his early John Jones bag. Just letting it go, here it comes, motherfucker. Let's see. You might knock me out, but the storm's coming. And let me tell you something. When Derek Lewis does that, he is a lot to handle. Now, if you can't handle him, you can pull a DC and maybe get the takedown, then you win. But when Derek Lewis does what he did last night, when he comes at you and guns are blazing, fucking knees, kicks, punches, he's a lot of man to deal with. And you don't need a whole lot of fucking skill. It's just he's in too great a shape and too much of a man that, like I said last night, wasn't a whole lot of skill to that. That was just a barbarian coming at you with 2 axes swinging. And if you don't get the fuck out of the way, you get slept, period.
Well, and it's your reaction to it, too. I mean, that's what makes really good pressure fighters, what makes them so scary, is that if you question yourself at all during that barrage.
Right.
If an ounce of doubt enters your brain, you're getting fucked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Part of what
if you hesitate,
part of how you survive those onslaughts is that you have no doubt in what you're doing.
Yep.
You've seen this before. You've been here. You know what's coming.
Right.
You know what it's going to feel like, and you know what to do to get out of it.
For sure.
So as it starts happening, you keep that confidence through the entire process, and you come out on the other side. And generally speaking, you're going to be in a better position than they are. Right? You're not going to be as tired. You're going to be able to work off of the counter, right? Like, you're going to be in a better position once you survive that onslaught of pressure. And again, those guys aren't necessarily any better or worse. It's just if any doubt creeps into your mind, you're fucked.
Right.
You have to be able to experience what's happening and put yourself in the mindset of, again, going back to mindset. You have to be able to, I've been here before. I've done this before.
Right.
This is not my first time in this cage. It's not my first time with this person. It's not my first time experiencing what I'm about to experience. I've done it all before. I will get out of this on the other side, and maintaining that throughout the entire process.
But listen.
Easier said than done.
Easier said than done. That's what separates the men from the boys, because when you got a fucking 265-pound man coming at you with both fucking barrels swinging, I'm sure it's real hard to keep your calm. But to your point, if you can, that's the only way you get out of something like that.
And again, and there's a lot of this, and a lot of shit that I'm saying too. It permeates into like professional life. It's the same thing with negotiations. It's just trusting your instinct, trusting your gut, and then following through with what you set to do in the first place, and not wavering just because mid-process you start questioning what you're doing. You can't do that. You have to trust your gut, and also realize that other people aren't doing the same thing. So if you have that skill set where you're not questioning what you're doing, you're going to yield better results, because chances are you're working with someone on the other side that doesn't have that mind frame, and they're going to start collapsing and folding under the weight of under the pressure. For sure. So if you can keep yourself from collapsing under that, you're going to be a lot better in negotiating. A negotiation is going to be a lot better sales, whatever, right, in professional life. So a lot of this permeates over.
Yeah, no doubt.
What's next for Derek Lewis?
Okay, well, I was going to say, I put out a tweet right before we started, and I got a couple of responses.
He already has a win over Ngannou. It was
one of the responses
not a great win.
was talk about Derek Lewis finally getting in shape and knocking fools unconscious. Now, we've kind of talked about his performance, so yeah, we'll go on to what's next for Derek Lewis at this point. Do we think, okay, to the point of the tweet, do you think that him getting in shape is a serious thing? Do you think that, like, is he now a legitimate title contender, or is it whatever? He's still the same old fucking song.
He said he doesn't want to fight again until he weighs in the 240s.
Okay, so
that's what he said.
Interesting.
I don't know about all that. I think that's a bit much, because I think he'll lose strength. Right, muscle's heavier than fat, and that's part of his appeal is that he's extremely strong. Now, there's a lot of fat to lose. I understand that, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if. Why change it up? It wasn't like it wasn't working for him. He's had a perfectly fine career.
Yeah. I mean,
he's lost a couple fights he shouldn't, and he's had to. I mean, listen, he had to come back against what was that guy's name?
Alexander Volkov.
Well, prior to that,
fuck yeah, he's had
what was the guy? Shamil something, right?
Yeah.
That guy with the really weird kind of fighting style, like I remember him fighting Ben Rothwell, and it was weird too. Which just two weird styles going at it. But yeah, I don't see anything wrong with him. I would say, if anything, just lean into it. Lean into your craziness. Lean into your style. Lean into the fact that maybe you're not that good. You're just fucking stronger than everybody else you're in there with, and you can manhandle them and get that shot. And if you can't get it, well, then you fucking die on your sword.
Right. But which is pretty much what it is.
That's where Ngannou is.
For the most part, yeah.
Anytime Ngannou loses is because he doesn't pull the trigger. Right. Or he pulls the trigger.
And it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and then he's fucked.
Right.
Which is like, all right, but that's your thing.
At heavyweight, though, that's usually enough.
Yeah, it's because chances are, when, like with Ngannou, again, there's no fucking skill. That's not goddamn skill. What was the fight he just won?
Was it Ozenstrike or Rosenstrike?
Yeah.
Just
That
ran at
wasn't
him.
fucking skill. He's
He ran at him.
windmilling his fucking
He ran at
hands.
him, throwing them haymakers. The same thing. He's like, the storm's coming, motherfucker. Can you handle it?
You know, and there was no skill there. That was just pressure. It was pressure, and he's a fucking just not even he's basically a statue.
Pressure bust pipes.
You know, but again, Lewis has a win over him, which is big if you're talking about going to a title fight. I mean, who else does he need to fight before he fights for the title? I don't know.
at least
I don't know
one
where you
more,
are.
but-
I have a feeling it doesn't matter who wins. The heavyweight title's about to be vacant.
Well, I think
That's kind of where I'm at, man.
Nah, I think if Stipe wins, he sticks around.
I
think
don't
Stipe's
know.
going nowhere.
I don't know if this is what he wants to do. Like, this doesn't seem to be where his head's at.
I don't know. He seems to want that belt back pretty bad, though.
Yeah, but if he gets it back, that doesn't mean he's going to keep it.
Oh, yeah,
Once you get
that's
it back, you could be like, that's a perfect time to retire. Shit. Like,
Yeah, maybe.
got it back, baby. I'm done.
Maybe,
like,
maybe.
If your heart's not in it. you know?
I tell you what, though, I don't think we have to worry about that. I don't think DC gets hit in the belly this time. I think he wins that fight, and I think that
I think he for sure retires.
Yeah, he does.
How could he not?
There's only if he don't. There's one guy only. John will come up to heavyweight, and they'll do it for that.
Derek Lewis ain't getting. Cormier,
No, nobody. If DC beats Stipe, I'm telling you, mark my motherfucking words right now. Very rarely do I, proclaim anything as a fact in this sport because it is such a fucking wild sport. You never know nothing about nothing. One thing I can guarantee you, fucking pricks, if DC beats Stipe, he will either retire or he will fight John Jones at heavyweight for said belt.
Well, he already got.
That is fucking it.
Well, he already got fucked against Cormier anyway. But so here's his losses in the UFC going back to the beginning of his career. Matt Mitrione.
Who?
Derek Lewis.
Derek Lewis, okay.
Matt Mitrione, Sean Jordan, Mark Hunt, and then he lost 2 straight against Cormier and JDS. The JDS loss is the most glaring.
Yeah.
The Mark Hunt one, he gassed just horrifically and basically asked to be out of the fight. I mean, he had he had no interest in continuing that fight. And that's it. His win streak thus far was a split decision win against that guy that came over from, PFL? Ivanov.
Oh, yeah, Blakatani, the dude that beat Fedor at Sambo.
Yeah. And then he came over from the PFL, didn't he? Let me look.
Maybe. Something.
Yeah, came over from the PFL. Okay. And before that, World Series of Fighting. Which was the PFL. Yeah. And then Latifi, when he made his heavyweight jump, which is a goofy fight, but goes to a decision, which is real weird. And then you got Olenek, where he wins by punches. So just looking at this, he has not even remotely earned himself into that position yet. You got to at least beat another guy, possibly 2. I don't know. I don't know if he's got to fight Ngannou again. But
JDS is fighting Rosenstruck coming up. I wouldn't mind seeing Derek Lewis get that winner.
Okay.
If JDS wins, he gets the rematch. If not, he gets Rosenstruck, which will be a fucking animal. I mean, he deserves a top tier guy, but yeah, I mean, he ain't in the heavyweight. Even as shallow as heavyweight is, he ain't quite in the championship discussions yet.
Yeah, I'm there too. Let's look ahead real quick just to next week's
wait a minute.
card. Go ahead.
Hypothetically, again, if DC does win and drop the belt, what does happen at heavyweight? What do you think they do? Do they just have one fight to crown a champion, top contenders, or do you think
I
they
just
do
don't know who that fight would be against? That's the problem.
So do you think they do a tournament?
I would say yes, except that's not the UFC style.
I know, I agree, but
that's the problem. They just don't do it.
At least a fucking 4-man tournament.
Yeah, give me something.
You have to have something like that because you're right. I mean, I guess Francis, but then who's he fighting for the fucking belt? I guess maybe fucking Stipe if Stipe sticks around. That would be weird.
I don't want to see that again.
Yeah, that's true. It'd be suck if Stipe wins the belt. Sorry, I got beat by the real champ. He retired. Now I get that wouldn't give much credence to the fucking belt.
So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work.
Okay, fair enough. Me either. But it's interesting though. If DC does win and then he does walk away, it's going to be real interesting to see what they do with that belt.
So this is a banger of a card, top to bottom, for the most part. I'm very excited about it. Here's your main card. Obviously, you have Stipe, Daniel Cormier up top. In your co-main, you got Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Chito Vera. Sean O'Malley making a pretty quick turnaround, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah.
Then you got JDS versus Rosenstruck, as discussed. Then you got John Dotson against Mirab Divashvili. Can I remember how to pronounce his name? The guy that lost the fight that he actually won. That's pretty much the only thing I know about him. Magomed Ankalaev versus Ian Cutelaba. and then Jim Miller versus Vince from Hell Pichel.
Yeah.
It's a good main card. I mean, it's certainly better than what we've been experiencing. I've not been terribly thrilled about these last two cards.
These have been decent cards.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is a decent card.
This is a decent card. The other two have been,
a
bit
little
of a struggle.
lackluster. Top heavy as fuck.
Yeah. So this is a good card all the way around. It has again, Jim Miller, I think, making a quick turnaround too.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys are right now, and girls if they
the COVID
can.
shit.
Yeah, if you're there,
they're already in the testing pool.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey,
we know you don't got COVID.
Fight as much as you can.
For real.
Good
card though, really good card actually.
We'll see where it goes. TJ Brown, I'm excited to see him fight. Other than that, on like the prelims, it's perfectly fine. You got Herbert Burns is fighting, which we still don't really know what we have in him yet.
Right.
So that'll be whatever. We'll see.
Though.
It's not like there's a lot of potential there, so we'll just kind of have to see where it goes. That's really the only other one on the. That's really the only other one on the prelims, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I want to see where this goes.
Pretty fucking great card, though, man. And still, overall, big fucking shout out to the UFC and MMA for being able to just continue to fucking put out a product for us all to watch during these really trying times, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the sort of shit that really helps. You'd be surprised, man. On fight night, I get on Twitter, and don't get me wrong, MMA Twitter's fucking got a lot of douchebags on there. But there's also a lot of really cool people on there, and I think that, getting together on Friday and Saturday night and watching the fights, even if it's like virtually or through an app or something, I think a lot of people really look fucking forward to that. And it really helps them get through their fucking, the rest of their bullshit week.
Yeah.
So it's fucking important, dude. I mean, it even helps me. I wouldn't go as far as saying, prevents me from being depressed or nothing. But, man, I definitely look forward to Saturday night and the normalcy that comes with, hitting Twitter and watching the fights and all that bullshit. It definitely makes you feel like maybe, the end of the world isn't coming.
Yeah.
So.
The next pay-per-view is going to be Adesanya versus Costa.
Good Lord. When is that?
That is September 19th.
God damn, well, that's off, man. But
Some pay-per-view after this one.
Some heat, though, yeah. Two really good pay-per-views. What's the co-main on that? Did they got one yet?
Well, as of right now, it's Johnny Walker, Ryan Spann.
That's a good fight, but
which is a good fight.
That won't be the co-main. That'll probably either be the prelim headliner or open up the pay-per-view card.
It's a good fight.
It's not a co-main event, but yeah, it's going to get some sort of special slot on the card.
And I think we have Contender Series coming up this week.
Oh yeah, we do. I think it's on and popping now.
Yeah, and then the next week's card is Frankie Edgar versus Pedro Munoz, which is decent. And then it's Yoel Romero, Uriah Hall, Michelle Watterson, Angela Hill. All right. Who else is on this card? Anybody else that's jumping out to me? I mean, there's a couple on here, but yeah, I mean that's the crux of it. And did you see Angela Hill doing? It wasn't commentating. She was in the booth the other day. My wife hated it.
Angela Hill.
Yeah.
My
wife hated her.
I really like Angela Hill too, but yeah, she wasn't very good on the mic and in the booth. To be fair.
She's like, "Who is that?" I was like, "I'm pretty sure that's Angela Hill."
It is.
And
she seemed clunky.
She's like, I hate her voice.
She seemed a little clunky, a little awkward. To be fair, which sucks because I love Angela, but yeah, I was like, fuck.
This didn't quite work out.
She didn't nail it.
Anything else you want to add before we go?
Nah, dog. I think that's it. Well, quickly, are you watching Tyson Roy Jones Jr.? Are you going to watch that?
Probably.
Maybe we have cool on fucking stream it, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. Isn't it supposed to be like really, really expensive?
Oh, I've heard the number $50 thrown out there, but I don't.
50 would be fine, but
oh no, it wouldn't be. No, I mean, I love.
I know. It's like I'm okay with 50. When I first heard the way people were reacting, I was like, "Is that shit $100?"
Oh God, no.
It was again like talking about Nate Bargatze. He has a joke.
No.
He has a joke about stamps. And he's like, you never know how much stamps are, like, unless you know a bunch of old people, right? Like, and then those who know what the stamps cost. He's like, and they're always super mad. He's like, is it $100 to mail a letter? Like, what's the? And like that's how I feel about like everybody was reacting to how expensive the pay-per-view was. I was like, is it like $150? Like why? No. Like, why is everyone reacting this way? I mean, it's $50. It's like that's reasonable. I mean, it's fucking Mike Tyson,
but
like,
not for this. And Mike Tyson.
The problem is it's a legends fight.
Your fucking co-main event of the evening is Jake Paul versus some fucking dick I've never heard of or something. It's the fucking YouTube kid, the fucking white YouTube kid. So it's $50. They're out of their goddamn fucking mind. First off, too, all bullshit aside, Somebody should explain to these fucking people how easy it is to stream. I really did not, all fucking bullshit aside, I didn't want to stream for a long time. And it just got so fucking easy. Like, I've realized, I hate to be fucking Brendan Schaub here, but I realized I'm the only dick still paying for it. Every person I do podcasts with, none of these pricks can afford to watch every fucking pay-per-view. They don't miss a fight. One time I'm asking, I'm like, how do you guys, fuck, I'm dying over here. I'm ordering, I ain't ordered a pay-per-view in 10 years. Fuck, I've been podcasting with you pricks for 5 years. You never miss a fight. You fucking stream them all. And then I did it one time. Fucking full disclosure, I found out. It's like, here recently I finally downloaded a DoorDash to my phone.
Yeah.
I know I'm late to the party, but for fuck's sakes, I didn't realize how easy and simple it was to do this sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like fucking magic.
Right.
Same thing with the fucking streaming. I thought you'd have to do this and that. Come to find out, you fucking type in a website, you hit the button, boom, 1080p. It pops right the fuck up. The exact thing that you pricks are watching. I was like, well, fuck me. This is way too easy to not do.
I am one of the dipshits that pays for every paper.
I usually do, too. But I'm not going to lie. Now, you know, it's funny, too. I've got morals about it, to be fair.
Yeah.
This weekend, I'll pay for the card.
Yeah.
Just because it's a real good one. I got no time for bullshit. And I feel like, all right, you're not fucking me for this money. You deserve this money. But I'm not going to bullshit you. When they pull out them bullshit cards, fucking Henry Cejudo or the like, you ain't giving my 50, boys. I got to tune in, but I'm not fucking paying you for this one. Fuck off.
Would you pay if Cejudo comes back and he fights Volkanovski? Would you pay for that?
Nah.
If
I wouldn't fucking miss it. Let me tell you something. If my stream got shitty, I'd buy it at the last minute. I wouldn't miss that fucking fight, but it doesn't sell me too much.
If Cejudo comes back and he fights Volkanovski and he wins, and he then has at one point has held belts at 25, 35, and 45, and beat legitimately all the top people at 25, 35, and 45, essentially. Not all of them, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He beat the people who we were like, those are the champions.
Yeah.
He beat those people, right? He beats Dillashaw. He beats Demetrius Johnson. He beats Marlon Vera.
Yeah.
He beats Dominic Cruz. And then he comes in and he beats Volkanovski, right? At what point does Fred have to look at that and go, this guy deserves praise. This guy deserves me to be like, you are one of the best.
Realistically, he'll never get that from me. I just got a heart up for the guy. He can kiss my ass. But
it's so unreasonable.
I know.
It's
I know
so
that.
unreasonable.
I know that. I'm like a Trumper with this guy. I don't care. I don't like the fucking prick. He can fucking save a gaggle of baby ducks and beat fucking John Jones, and I'd still be like, yeah, fuck him. He was probably on steroids, fucking cheating on coke or the like. But I will give him this to wrap up the show. All hyperbole aside, the cute cocksuckers put himself in a good spot. I think the Volkanovski talk is fucking stupid, but now you got.
I don't know if it is that less stupid.
Yeah, it's fucking.
I don't know if it is.
Stop it. Edwin Figueiredo, or however you pronounce that fucking
Davidson Figueiredo,
is interesting. I think, and him
that's at 25.
And him exactly. Him and Cody having this fight. The winner of that fight, if Figueiredo can actually beat Cody, or vice versa, whoever wins that fight, I think Henry'd have his hands full.
Okay.
35. Now we got Pichor Yan. Henry probably wins that fight. And much I don't like the prick, but it's no walk in the park for sure. He has put himself in a spot to where if he does come back, there are actually intriguing fights for him now, like legit intrigue.
Yeah.
But again, whoever wins at 25, I mean, if it's Cody Garbrandt, if he can make 25 and he looks good and he beats Figueiredo, like, who's to say that fucking Cody couldn't knock out fucking Henry Cejudo?
I'll say this. We're talking about intrigue at 25 and intrigue at 35. We were not talking about intrigue in those divisions not all that long ago. Why do you think there's intrigue, Fred?
Henry Cejudo.
Thank you.
Well,
I just wanted you to admit.
No. Hold on.
Oh, you just admitted. You can't backtrack it now.
Well, goddamn I am. Henry Cejudo and credible title challengers. Like, now Henry has...
what creates those credible title challengers?
Listen, not Henry. Figueiredo created his own shit by beating Joe B twice, and Cody's coming down. So that's the thing, man. I think that's what hurt DJ. DJ never... Ian McCall was like the last dude he had that he kind of had a nemesis out there at 25 that people thought could actually beat. You need that. If Henry was to come back at 25, he could come back at 25 and fight Tom, Dick, or Harry, and I wouldn't give two shits. But now we've got a guy up there and Figueiredo, and especially if he beats fucking Garbrandt, like, you got a guy that there's some real fucking intrigue. He might actually beat Henry Cejudo.
Yeah.
Now, to your point, Henry's still the fucking king of cringe, and he's the one we all want to see get snuffed out. So he's done his fucking job very well.
At this point, I am all in on whenever Henry Cejudo fights. I want him to win, and I want him to win resoundingly.
That's the Conor McGregor effect. That's how I am with
It
Conor.
is.
Whether I don't give a fuck if Conor fucking hits a school bus of kids. Like, I still need to see him win just so we can keep the show going.
That's
so
where I'm at with
pissed off and
Cejudo.
shit.
I
Yeah.
want Cejudo to win, and I want him to do so. And not only that, I want there to be controversy with the win.
Yeah, just some sort of shit.
I want early stoppages. I want illegal shots that don't get caught. Like I love this story.
He's one of the. I'll give him this. He's one of the best at that. Not getting early stoppages, but almost forcing them. Like, I will give Cejudo that, man. When he
It was
gets
like
you hurt,
It was like John Dodson, where when John Dodson would jump in,
boom.
It was he would just fire it off, and you have to stop it.
Right.
You can't just let him go
You don't have the time
over and over
to
again.
fucking, yeah, exactly. You literally don't have
Whether
the
the
time
guy's
to think.
hurt or not's irrelevant. I mean, he's just flying in there and just hitting so fast that you have to
Henry's
come
really-
and stop, and that's how Henry is.
Yeah, he's really good at that. He gets you rocked, and then he jumps on you, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'll gas out if I got to, but I'm going to get on you and keep swinging with both
And he
hands."
could do it for a while.
and it usually works
Because he's small.
right?
So he can just,
yeah,
like-
he can just keep and yeah, exactly. And to give him credit, he's not stupid. He doesn't jump in and swing with all of his power. He just boop, boop, boop. He keeps putting hands on you, boop, boop,
over and
boop,
over and
boop,
over
boop,
and
boop.
over, and then it stops.
And then, yeah, exactly. And the ref's like, well, fuck, this guy's taking fucking 45 unanswered punches in the last 30 seconds. Better stop the
can't
fight.
not stop it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Shout out to Henry, little prick.
And shout out to Dominic Cruz, because I think he was on the bad end of that, and I understand where Cruz is coming from, but it's like, dude, how many shots were unanswered there? It was quite a bit, you know? And
Yeah,
like,
when the fight was over, I was definitely in the Cruz camp. I felt that was some fucking bullshit. Another reason that Henry's a prick. But what are you going to do, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you got to move on. Dominic, get in there, win another fight, and let's fucking cohorts Henry to get back in the cage.
Yep, exactly. All right, cool. Well, we'll get out of here, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We gave you an extra long show since we missed last week, and go from there.
There it is.
Next week, baby.
Like,